Hey, it's Mike from Waking Dream FPV. This video is going to be a practical FPV LiPo guide. It's not going to be a detailed review or analysis, but instead from a daily driver point of view, what considerations should you have when you're picking your next LiPo, or if you're new to FPV, how should you potentially be thinking about this? A few disclaimers. This is from my perspective as a cinematic FPV pilot who does a bit of freestyle. I'm not a racer, so this is not for you potentially, or a hardcore bando basher. Instead, this is from my perspective. A few other disclaimers. Some of these packs have been sent to me, but I haven't been paid for this review, and nor has anyone reviewed this footage beforehand. Okay, let's jump into it. I hope you enjoy. Okay, first a quick overview of some of my gear that I use regularly and how I pair that with a different size LiPo. First is my cinematic 6-inch semi-long range drone. Then is my 5-inch freestyle iFlight Nazgul Evoke, and that is my 3.5-inch Cinewhoop. Definitely very versatile. So in terms of how I would pair these with different packs, let me start with the 6-inch. So with the 6-inch, usually I'm aiming to fly with packs at 1800 milliamps is a nice sweet spot. That gives me plenty of time in my flight. That gives me plenty of performance. Also, that gives me still acro ability. It's not super heavy. Still can flip it around, do close dives to the ground, plenty of proximity, power, kind of the best of both worlds. Next, let's go to the 5-inch. So the 5-inch was the first kind of carbon FPV drone that I bought, and I paired that originally with a 1500 milliamp China hobby line and then a 1300 milliamp, and I think that is great. Some of the different packs that I usually fly with my 5-inch, I've got them here. So right down from a 1200 milliamp, 1300, 1500, that kind of range is really good. I think anywhere in that space is great. I know some people choose to go lighter to 1000 milliamps hours or 800 milliamp hours. I find 1200 milliamp for me is the kind of sweet spot in terms of as low as I'd want to go. It gives me enough flight time, as well as still plenty light, and acro ability is great. When it comes to my Cinewhoop, my favorite packs for the Cinewhoop are actually the same, the 1200 milliamp Speedy Bee Pizza packs. I find these are really versatile. They give me heaps of really great flight times on a 3.5-inch Gep RC Cinelog, but I also fly these 1300 milliamps as well on the Cinelog. I did try 4S packs to get better throttle control, and that worked quite well, but my preference, I love these. The 1300 milliamp and the 1200 milliamp gives me plenty of speed, maneuverability without the Gep RC Cinelog 35 being too slow, without it losing some of its flight characteristics, but also gives me really great flight time. Again, you could go lighter, you could have a smaller pack on here, but I like having that long flight time there. Okay, so obviously there's a lot of choice on the market in terms of which FPV LiPo batteries you should go with. I haven't tested every single brand. These are some of the brands that I regularly fly with, that I use, that I quite enjoy. So this is maybe a little bit limited in scope, but what we're gonna talk about from here is we're gonna talk about things like the flight characteristics, performance, and cost, and size and weight. Those are gonna be some of my key factors around potentially which LiPo you should think about buying for your next pack, or for your next set, or if you're just starting out in FPV. Okay, so there's a stack of different options that you can look at when you're looking at different FPV batteries. Again, I'm just talking about 6S LiPo packs for now, but these are some of the brands that I've regularly used, tested, really enjoy using all of them, and can highly recommend them all. We're gonna talk about a few different factors here. The first is flight time, the next is cost, then performance, as well as size and weight. Those are the kind of crucial things that I think you should be thinking about in terms of how to think about which batteries you should be buying next. Okay, for the first test, we're gonna do a throttle punch from 0 throttle to 100% throttle, launching into the sky, and see how we go. I'm gonna be using primarily these packs. I would love to compare all the packs that I've got, but it's not fair to some of them that are a bit older and have been used quite hard. But we've got an 1800, 1500, 1300 and 1200 milliamp hour throttle punch. I'm only going to be using my 5-inch quad for this. So what we're going to be looking for is testing to see how quickly the motors can spin up, how fast the drone can accelerate, how much air time it has when I take off the throttle, and responsiveness, things like that. Next, I'll do a bit of a flight time test. Okay, first pack we'll test for the throttle punch is a Tattoo R-Line 1800 milliamps. Usually a little bit big for my 5-inch, but it actually works quite well. Usually I'll reserve this for the 6-inch drone, but let's do a throttle punch with it and check it out. Okay, next pack we're going to test is the China Hobby Line Mini Star 1500 milliamp hour. This is a great pack for a 5-inch drone. Gives you good flight time, good flight characteristics. Let's check it out. Okay, next throw punch is the 1300 mini black China Hobbyline battery. If I could only have one FPV battery, I would actually probably choose a 1300 milliamp in terms of size. I can double it up for a 6-inch to get long flight times. I can rip it on a 5-inch. I can cruise it on my 3.5 cine log. But let's do a throw punch. Let's see how this goes. Okay, next pack for the punch test is the 1200 milliamp Speedy Bee pizza. This is gonna rock it, so let's give that a test now. Okay, so initially I've got these all here listed in terms of capacity from 1200 up to 1800 milliamp hours. A few other categories I've got here is the C rating, the weight, the cost in Australian dollars. I'm obviously based in Australia. These are the prices I found for these packs online today. Some of these are on sale. Some of these you can only buy a twin pack. So this cost is likely to change. Keep that in consideration. And then a few other categories I've kind of analyzed some of the data. So cost per amp hour. So how much does it cost for the capacity? And then weight per milliamp hour. So what is the relation between the capacity and the weight? So how light, how efficient is that weight compared to the capacity there? So if we crunch some of these numbers, I think the first one we might look at is the weight per milliamp hours. This is a really good one to see how heavy the pack is compared to the capacity hours that it has, because obviously weight is going to be a huge consideration if performance is your primary concern. If you only want the most efficient, most performing, best flight characteristics, weight's a crucial thing here. So obviously winning by a long shot is Avionics. I don't know how they're doing this with their packs. A 1300 milliamp 130C rated pack for 6S is under 200 grams. No other pack in this list is under 200 grams. So their weight per milliamp hour is $0.15, which is crazy. Following from that is a Tattoo R-Line series. You can see that they're very efficient with their weight in terms of how they're packing so much power into a light package. Next is the Dogcom, and then followed by the Mini Stars, China Hobbyline range. Then you'll see there's a bit of a correlation here, but if we compare that now with the cost per amp hour, so how much bang for your buck are you getting? So for the amount of money that you're spending, how many milliamp hours are you getting from that? You can see here, obviously the most efficient option, the most cost-effective option is the China Hobbyline Speedy Pizza drone. It's also the lowest C rating, but you may find that performance doesn't actually affect much with the slightly lighter pack potentially. But the other option there, I guess, is that you're going to be able to buy more of these packs because they are quite cheap comparatively. So that's a consideration for you to have there. Next, you'll see the China Hobbyline Mini Star. They are obviously really economical as well. So they are slightly heavier comparatively to the other packs, but you're able to get more bang for your buck there. So that's part of your considerations that I think you need to have here. Avionics, again, are doing quite well. They seem like a nice middle of the road here. So they're quite efficient in terms of their cost per amp hour. Then you're getting into the more premium options, which of course you're paying for that premium option. So those are some of the data figures. I can share this chart if anyone's interested in that as well. All right, next test, we're gonna be doing flight time. I'm gonna be doing a fast cruise around this open space. I'll be cruising probably around 80 k's an hour. I don't have a GPS on this, so I can't see exactly the speed, but I'm not gonna be doing freestyle. I'm not gonna be doing any massive punch outs. I'm just gonna be doing fast, as consistent as I can, just spinning around. I'm gonna bring it in as soon as my low battery warning comes in, which I think is 3.4 volts per cell. All right, let's do this, let's check this out. Starting with the 1800 milliamp Tattoo R-Line. Okay, so we've looked at the numbers, we've looked at the flight performance, some real practical tests, some final thoughts that I have. Obviously, best bang for your buck is going to be these China Hobbyline Speedy Pizza drone packs. The 1200 milliamp is a great size. A few pros and cons though about this. First off, the pros. I love this pack. I love the extra durable shrink wrap that you've got on this pack. It's quite thick, rubberized surrounding, gives you a bit of extra protection in crashes, which is brilliant. Even compared to more premium options like your R-Line, it's quite flimsy plastic, as well as the shrink wrap you get on these packs. I sent this through a fireball recently, and it just kind of melted, dissolved all of the external shrink wrap there. But that's not going to happen with these packs. Some of the cons that I don't like with these packs, this battery lead is quite tiny, which is probably good in terms of you're not going to hit it on propellers. It's not going to get caught or stuck on things, which is great. But when you're trying to charge it, it's quite tricky to twist that in the right way into a balance board or a charger. So pros and cons of that. Another thing I have noticed with this pack is it does, when it gets down to 3.5 volts per cell, the voltage will really drop quite quickly. You cannot take this on any kind of dangerous long range trip where you need that last little bit of juice to bring you home. I've had these packs fall out of the sky when they get quite low if I haven't been watching my voltage carefully. So just be aware of that. In terms of other thoughts and suggestions on these other packs, I think I mentioned this before, but one of the most versatile sizes for people with a kit like me, you've got a Cinewhoop on 6S, a 5-inch, and a 6-inch, or some other kind of slightly long-range drone. I think the 1300 milliamp packs are brilliant. I think bang for buck for a pack like this, you can set yourself up, just load up with these. You can double them up for longer flight times with your 6-inch. You can run great flight times on your Cinewhoop. Awesome performance as well as flight times on your 5-inch, and it's not going to break the bank. I think you should definitely keep a lookout for sales on packs like the Avionics, as well as the R-Lines, Dogcoms if you're into racing or you just want to get the best, most premium options. But what I would suggest as well is have a think about, if you're starting out, get a few packs that aren't going to break the bank so you have somewhere to place a comparison point. My first pack I think that I ever got was a 1500 milliamp China Hobbyline black, just the 100C high power ones, and this was great. I thrashed this thing. It's pretty dead now, but this was, you know, over 2 years ago, and I've thrashed this. And then I had a good comparison point on where I kind of like to fly, what size pack I want to have. So if I just need to go out with my 5-inch, I want to have good flight times, good performance, I'll probably actually take a bunch of my 1500 milliamp packs. These are great. They've got so much power, but you get a little bit longer flight time as well. So for my kind of fast speed cruising cinematic stuff, it's very hard to beat something like this. Anyway, I hope that's helped. Again, these are just my opinions. Feel free to message me or drop a comment if you have any questions or you have any other suggestions. You might have some great suggestions for packs that I haven't even considered. I would love to hear them. All right, thanks so much.